Hello there. I hope everybody's doing great today. I'm going to move this shot up a little bit so you can see better. We are working on a healing psalm today, and that's Psalm number 50. It's a bit of a long one, so we'll do our best to get through it without too much time. We've already done our talisman, so you can go over to the talisman video for the sun. We did a talisman of Michael, a 6-pointed star, and somebody asked me about the 6th and 7th books of Moses, and why don't we do the Psalms like they do, and why don't we include the hidden Hebrew God names? It's just not part of our tradition. We don't work out of the 6th and 7th books of Moses. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're more than welcome to explore that. I'm just not convinced that that they're authentic, but they may be. I don't know. I've just never used that, and we don't use those God names. No, we do use Hebrew God names in angelic magic, but those are more traditional Kabbalistic angelic God names, not the hidden ones that are in the 6th and 7th books of Moses. But if you're drawn to that, just try it, experiment it, and see how it works for you. If you feel like it works better, then include them by all means. But it's just not the tradition as I learned it. So I've got a little bit of a cold today, so that's why I chose a healing psalm. And hopefully, if anybody is suffering from anything, you can. This, in addition to healing illnesses, Psalm 50 is also used for just deliverance from troubles of any kind, and also to give you a wider perspective of what your good is. So you can use this for prosperity and for solving problems as well. But we are just focused a little bit more on healing today. Again, if you're dealing with any kind of illness, don't do the thing where you avoid seeing doctors and just only relying on magic, especially if you're a newbie at this. Go ahead and see your doctor and let the magic work through them. Okay, so seeing your doctor is not a declaration of lack of faith. It's just one more way that the healing can come through you. Okay, so Psalm 50. So we read through it once as an invocation. Like I said, it's an incantation. It's a bit of a long one. And then we come back and we mine for those little seeds of magic that are all hidden, ancient seeds that are hidden within each and every psalm. Each and every verse of every psalm has hidden magic within it. And every time you read the same psalm, you'll get another seed. So this is infinite. There's an infinite amount of good that can come from working with these psalms. All right, Psalm 50. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifice or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all of the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing that thou hatest instruction, and casteth my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him. Okay, we're going to do that one again. This is me on Sudafed. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Woo! Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son. These things thou hast done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you into pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorify me, and to him that ordereth his conversations aright will I show the salvation of God. Well, that's intense. So we're going to go through there, and we're going to look at this magically and not religiously. So we have to take every little thing personally. So let's just see what we can find. There's a gajillion things in here, and so we won't get them all. We're just gonna get the surface right now. So the mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and he called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Okay, so when God speaks, remember that in biblical language, when God speaks, the word of God means the creation of God. That means the will of God. That God sets things into motion. So when God speaks, the mighty Lord God, remember who God is. God is our good. God is the source of all life. God is that which is infinite. Infinite life, infinite love, infinite peace, infinite beauty, infinite substance, all good. When he speaks, meaning when he sets into motion, he calls the earth from the rising of the sun from the rising of the sun to the going down thereof, meaning all of it. Everything is what the Lord calls unto himself. All that is alive because of the presence of life. It's because of the life principle. So that's why God owns everything, because God is everything. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. So Zion, again, is that hill that is where the temple of God is, and that is in your mind. So the highest part of you is where the perfection of beauty is, and God shines right in there. And that part of you is connected to every other person and every other thing, and we are all one in that perfection. Our God shall come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. Okay, so God's not going to keep silent, meaning life is there to live. Now, the very tempestuous fire round about God is a wonderful symbol. It's like the flaming the fire, the bush that was on fire that Moses saw with God, right? So the fire it's the same fire that the wise men, the Magi, saw as a star when they went to go see the baby Jesus. The fire is a symbol of the first cause. So in the element of in the order of creation, the elements come: fire, water, air, earth. Fire comes out first, and so that is the will of God, is symbolized as a tempestuous fire. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Now we want. Again, his people doesn't mean this in the way we're dealing with Psalms. His people means your thoughts, all the things that people your personality traits, everything with you. You want God to judge you, meaning we want God to judge what's worthy of you and what's not worthy of you, because we aren't capable of making those decisions for ourselves. If we decide what we think is right and what we think is wrong, we often make errors, but we want God to judge for us. gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So all those parts of you that are interested in turning toward your good are the saints, are his saints. And they make a covenant with God, meaning, yes, I want to do God's will, meaning I want to do that which is my good. I want to do that which is my true will. So what Crowley calls your true will is the same thing as God's will. It's doing what you came here to do. And for everybody, that's different. It may be music, it may be writing, it may be plumbing. I mean, I don't know what your will is. It may just be talking about how you interact with people. It may be how you think about yourself. All of those things are God's will according to the saints that live within you. And they make a covenant with God. And that's the sacrifice that they make, is sacrificing everything. You have to give up the life that you don't want, or the life that you have. You have to die to who you are in order to be reborn into what you want. So if you're doing, for instance, a spell for healing, the sick you has to die, and the well you has to be born, and that's making a sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Selah. Okay, and again, that's saying the same thing. We want God to judge us. And so you want to think about that. You want to be judged. You want to be judged by God, meaning you want to be judged by goods, because good will call itself good unto itself, and everything else will fall away. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. Okay, so Israel, again, is that part of you that is the chosen people. And the chosen people are simply the people who bother. The people who bother to do it. So Ariel, we've always talked about that, how that's the masculine and feminine principle that is your higher self within you. So he's telling that God is telling us that he's going to testify against us. And that's a good thing. We want God to testify against every part of us that is not connected with our good, so that it goes away. We don't want to carry that stuff around with us. Yay, God. Okay. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings, to have been continually before me. Yeah, you can't fake your way into God's love. You can't fake it. You can't just say, well, I'm going to do all this good stuff, and then God will be happy. But I want to keep these little pet neuroses. No, you've got to just totally let all of it go. You've got to let everything go and let God choose for you. And think of God as simply the infinite. Oh, I'm so sorry. The infinite intelligence. The infinite intelligence that knows you're good. It's infinite good. There's nothing to fear. But you don't want to keep the stuff that God would rather you have let go of. So you can't fake it. You can't just do burnt offerings and expect, I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. So again, life owns life, meaning that without the principle of life, there is no life. So God doesn't need your gratitude. God doesn't need you to flatter him or her. God doesn't need your offerings of food or whatever. You can't bargain your way into getting your needs met. The only way to get your needs met is to let yourself be used, is to let go of everything that you think you are, what you think you need, all that stuff, and ask that the Spirit come through you to judge you. That's the sacrifice you have to make. And that's not a bad thing. It's not like, okay, now I'm going to be, now I'm going to be some monk or something like that. No, it's that God put the desires in your heart. That's how you're going to get your desires fulfilled, is by doing that. It's all of those neurotic, little self-destructive, self-annihilating programs that we carry around with us, all that stuff from the race consciousness and all that stuff from, from just our child programming, all of those things that are always constantly sabotaging our success, sabotaging our healing, making us sick, all that stuff, that's the stuff that we sometimes want to just the ego mind is very insidious. It makes some of those things seem like we want to keep them, even though if we looked at them very clearly, we'd realize, wait a minute, I don't want any of that. So we don't want to keep any of those things. We want God to judge for us because we're not really capable of always understanding what's good for us. We don't understand our own best interests. I know all the fowls of the mountains and the wild beasts of the field are mine. Again, God knows what's what. You're not going to fool him. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine and the fullness thereof. Yeah, you don't need to worry about taking care of God. You don't need to worry about God's feelings. You need to worry about allowing God to work through you. God can only do for us what he can do through us. Remember that. Let's say that again. God can only do for us what he can do through us. Or she. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? No. Why? Offer unto God thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High. Now your thanksgiving is not because God needs it. It's because you need it. If you are thankful to God, then it puts you on the beam. And so that way God can come in and judge you and separate the chaff from the grain and get you on the track of where you're going to be doing what you need to do. Heal you, prosper you, all that good stuff. Offer unto God thanksgiving and, I already did that. Okay. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Again, if you're in trouble, don't try to figure it out yourself. Come to God first. You claim it. You don't beg. You don't beseech. You claim it. You claim that infinite intelligence is guiding you. You claim that God's will is done through you. You claim that the divine plan of your life is manifesting in wonderful ways. You claim that you call upon the law of forgiveness, and you claim that you are not bound by your past mistakes, that you claim that you are under grace and not under karmic law. You claim these things. But unto Paul, for those that read the New Testament, Paul said, come boldly before the throne of grace. Boldly. You claim it. You don't ask and beseech. But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that thou shouldst take up my covenant in thy mouth? Again, the wicked are the parts of you that are constantly defying God, that are constantly defying you, that are out to destroy you at all costs. All of those personality defects, all of those character defects, all of those flaws that just are so insidious. And God cannot be fooled. God cannot be tricked. You want infinite intelligence to take over. You don't want to say, okay, God, now this is what I want. I want you to do this for me, and I want to keep these things, and I want you to get rid of those things, okay? That's not how it works. You just say, here it is, God. I have these problems. I don't know how to handle them. I have these desires. I don't know how to achieve them. I don't know what any of this means, but you do. I am leaving it up to you. I am literally your servant, meaning that I am the channel through which your good flows into the earth, and that your good is done on earth. And as a result of that, not only do all of my desires get fulfilled in the most wonderful ways possible, all my problems get solved in the most wonderful way possible, but the whole world benefits because of it. And that's a beautiful thing. Seeing that thou hatest instruction and casteth my words behind thee. Okay, this is just continuing what he's saying. You just like, please don't tell me how to do my job, basically, is what he's saying. When thou sawest a thief and thou consentest with him, thou hast been partnered with adulterers. Now, thieves and adulterers in this case are those parts of you which are lying to you. That are lying to you. They are trying to take from you and trying to be unloyal to you. They are trying to pull you away from your good, meaning pull you away from God, pull you away from all that will heal and correct everything in your life. And that's those voices in your head that are, yeah, but let's face the facts. Let's look at these details. Let's look at why this won't work. Let's look at all of the ways in which that you suck. You know, all of that stuff, all of those dark thoughts about yourself and the world that are pulling you away from actually coming to, like Paul said, that throne of grace, to claim your good. All right. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. And that's what happens when you give word to those things. Now, be careful of what you say. What are you saying about yourself, even to yourself? Again, I've given this assignment to several people, and I want you to try it. Just take a whole day and do your best to check in as much as you can and listen to how you're saying things about yourself, about other people, about your situations. Are you saying things like, ugh, I knew that would happen. Ugh, nothing ever works. Oh, of course, the blah, blah, blah broke down. Or when you make a mistake, do you say, oh, look at me, I did it again. Are you belittling yourself? Are you being cruel to yourself? Are you thinking horrible thoughts about other people and the way they're dressed or the way their body looks or whatever? That's giving mouth to evil and the tongue framing deceit, because then you're going to smile at them and say, hi, how are you? And you're going to pretend that everything's okay. That's being deceitful. So be aware of that. It's not that you're going to be punished for those things, but then all we're saying is, then don't be surprised that you get those results, because thought produces result on some level. So these are the thoughts that you're thinking, and so these are the results that you'll be getting. And then it looks as though God's punishing you. God's not punishing you. You're punishing you. Okay. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Okay, so this is good. So a lot of times we think that we're getting away with stuff. You know, we think bad thoughts, we do bad things, we think we are getting away, and it seems like since there isn't an immediate comeback, that God wasn't paying attention that day. Thought that because he kept his silence. But what he's telling us here is that not only is he going to reprove those parts of you, meaning remove them. Think of reprove as remove, because it looks, but he's going to set everything in order. He's going to set everything in order right before your eyes. Everything is going to get fixed and put in shape. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Ha! Okay, so it sounds like God is threatening us, and that's how it feels. That's how it feels when we get when that burning bush appears before us, and we are so we are so content to hang on to our darkest thoughts about ourselves, and we are identifying with those dark thoughts. It seems as though God is just going to tear us into pieces, but he's not tearing us into pieces. He is tearing away from us all of that which is causing us so much misery and so much pain and so much so many problems. And so this is how a lot of times in these Psalms, they're very dramatic, so it's as if God is saying, I'm going to tear you into pieces, you little sucker. And that's not what he's saying, but it appears that way when we don't want to let go of our cherished darkness. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me. Who offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God. So he's just put it into a nice, pithy little sentence. You can even memorize this last verse, you can even do this in one of the other translations, it's easier to say, whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God. Okay, so praise and getting your speech right, that is how you get salvation. You get your shit together, basically. So you think thoughts of praise and gratitude. Everything you do, again, when you're in a line next time you're in the line at a grocery store, and it's just like, or a bank or something like that, and it's just like, oh, I'm going to be here forever. Well, if you're going to be there forever anyway, take one person at a time and say, I bless you, and I sincerely wish you all the blessings of life. I bless you, and I sincerely wish you all the blessings of life. And go through each person in line, and if you're still in line, you go through each person that you see in that bank or people that come to your mind, and that's a better use of your time than cursing the line, right? And being all upset that you're going to be late or whatever. And a lot of times what happens when you do that, you'll notice that the line just breaks up, and all of a sudden you're in the front of the line and you don't know how it happened. So offering praise, that's one way to offer praise, because you're praising God by blessing people. And ordering your conversation, and that's also getting your conversation in order by using your words and your thoughts in a constructive way rather than a destructive way. All right, well, if you're dealing with any kind of illness, I am keeping you very, very fondly in my prayers, and I hope that you feel better soon. If you're having any kind of problems, or whether they're financial or relationships or whatever they are, you are definitely in my prayers very, very sincerely. And I would love to hear from you, and let us know how you're doing when you're working this magic, and I want to hear about your successes as well. Until next time, much love and many blessings.